Hi and welcome. In this video, we are going to interpret the SPID status in SP underscore who2 or SP underscore who stored procedures. In our earlier video, we have seen the difference between SP underscore who and SP underscore who2 stored procedure, and we also discussed about SP underscore who is active. If you haven't watched this video, I will leave a link in the description. You can watch it from there. Once we connect to a SQL Server instance, a unique identification number is assigned to each and every successful connection, and it is called Server Process ID or SPID. You can see here session 53 is called my Server Process ID, which I am connected to. If I now execute sp underscore who to store procedure and see the result set, the first column is the SPID and the second column is the status of each SPID. Here in this column, all the SPIDs from 1 to 50 are reserved for SQL Server internal process, and any SPID that is greater than 50 is the user process. If you see the status column, we have different status for each SPID. Some are background, some are sleeping, some are runnable. Okay, so what does this actually mean? And what do you understand by these terms? Let us see one by one. The first one in the list is running. The session with the status is the one that is actually running and consuming CPU cycles. The process is having a thread and assigned and consuming CPU cycles. For suppose, if I execute a transaction, let's say it is an insert statement or a select statement. Now if you see this, the session is in running in 53. So I just executed a read command and the session is currently running. Since it is currently running, it have both the thread and CPU, and the status in SPID of the SPID is running. So I did not use this SP who and SP who to, because I need to just scroll down always when I go for user process. So if I use this dmv sys.dm underscore execute underscore sessions with user process equal to 1, I get only the user process. All the system process will not be shown here. Okay. Next is runnable. The SPID with the runnable status means it is in the runnable queue of a scheduler and is waiting to get the scheduler time. This is a default state of a new task that comes to a SQL Server database engine. Runnable means that the query is ready to run and it has all the info that it needs, and a thread has been assigned and it is just waiting for the CPU to become available. All the tasks in this runnable state are queued up and are taken in the order. Next is suspended state. The SPID will be in suspended state when it is waiting for a resource to become available. It means that the request is currently not active because it is waiting on a resource. The resource can be an IO for reading a page. Once IO is completed, the query will move into the runnable queue. So why is it waiting? We need to check for the wait time. So for example, here I have an insert statement. Let me execute this transaction. Please note that I am not committing this transaction. I executed this transaction in session ID 53. Now if I open another transaction or I open another session, and if I issue a select statement, it means I'm trying to read this same table. The query will not execute because of exclusive lock. Now if I check the SPID status of 54, it will be suspended. You can see it is in suspended state because it is waiting for a resource to become available. So I have a query which show basic information to assist when SPID is in suspended state by showing which resource the SPID is waiting for. So I will provide this script in the video description. You can take it from there. Alternatively, we can also use sp underscore who is active stored procedure if you have already having it in your environment. And we can see here the wait type is lck underscore m underscore s, which is lock manager shade. This wait type is very common in SQL Server, and this wait occurs when a request is waiting to acquire a shared lock. This typically happens when read requests are blocked by write transactions that are kept open for extended period of time. So here, if session ID is completed, if it is committed or rollback, session 54 will take the resources and continue to run. So you can see, let me roll back this transaction. Now if I check sp underscore who is active for session ID 54, it will be in sleeping state because it has completed its query, its execution, and gave the output. Next is pending. SPID with pending status has not yet been assigned a thread and is waiting for the threads to become available. This means the request is ready to run, but there are no worker threads available to execute the request in CPU. Next is sleeping state. Here, the session is currently not executing or doing nothing. We often see this status when all the tasks related to the threads are completed, but the connection is still open, or that SPID is awaiting a command from any of the application. And for example, if I open a new connection and I do nothing here and do not execute anything in this session, okay, here my session ID is 54. Now if I check the status of this session, it will be sleeping state because I did nothing here. No command is being executed in that session. So this session with status of sleeping or awaiting command is simply a client connection with no active query to the SQL server. And next we have background. The SPID with the status is running a background task such as deadlock detection, log writer or checkpoint, or resource monitor. If I execute sp underscore who to stored procedure, and I can see the status of few SPIDs which are ranging from 1 to 50, which are system reserved processes. The status is background. You can see here few are running for log writer, log monitor, lazy writer, and deadlock detection, checkpoint, etc. For example, if a user tried to kill any one of the background tasks, background SPID, system will not allow. It says only user process can be killed. Next, we have rollback, kill or rollback. Once we kill a session, it undergoes through a rollback process. The transaction becomes uncompleted and SQL Server must undo all the changes performed by the transaction. And this will take both time and resources to perform a rollback. And in those scenarios, you will see the SPID status as rollback. Generally, we come across the first 5 SPID status: running, runnable, suspended, pending, and sleeping. You can describe this process status in one word. For pending, running, runnable, sleeping, and suspended. If the SPID is pending, it means it have a thread, it have no thread and no CPU. If it is runnable, it have a thread but no CPU. If it is running, it has both thread and CPU. And sleeping, it is doing nothing or idle state. And if it is suspended, it is waiting for a resource to become available. Other than these, we also have two more: spin loop, when session task is waiting for a spin loop to become free, and dormant, when SQL Server is resetting the session. There is also a Microsoft documentation that talks about SPID status in sp underscore who stored procedure. I will share this documentation link in the video description. You can check it from there. Have you ever seen a negative SPID in sp underscore who to? Sometimes SQL Server may report a blocking session as a negative integer value like -2, 3, -4, and 5. So if I execute sp underscore to stored procedure, in the block by column, sometimes it display -2, -3, -4, or -5. Generally, the SPID will be a positive integer, but sometimes it show a negative integer. So these are the orphan distributed transaction. So generally, I came across -2 and -3, which are orphan distributed transaction. So how to deal with those blocking sessions? How to kill that blocking session? You cannot directly issue a kill command with -2 integer, with -2 or -3. It says it's not a valid one. Okay. So then how do you kill those sessions? For that, we need to look up for the unit of work ID of the transaction. So how do we get the unit of work id? There are some scripts. We can replace it with -3 if it is a -3 blocking session, or we can keep it as -2. So in my case I'm taking -2 as an example, which is the orphan distributed transaction. You can use any of the script, either of the script. This will give the unit of work id for that particular transaction. So since there is no blocking transaction currently right now, the output is blank. So if you have any in sp underscore who to block by column which is of -2 or -3, execute this script. You will get the unit of work id which is of alphanumeric characters, similar to like this. So take it from the output and use the kill command and kill the transaction. Your blocking will be removed. Okay, so I'll keep these commands in the video description. You can check it from there. And if you want me to do a detailed video on these blocking transactions and how to kill the blocking negative SPIDs, please do let me know in the comment section. I'll try my best to come up with the next video. So thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, do share and subscribe for more videos.